Welcome to The Explainer, where we're about to unravel a huge mystery that's hiding in plain sight, right on the high seas. It's all about the flags you see flying on those massive cargo ships, and why, for most of them, that little piece of cloth tells a story you would never, ever expect. So let's kick things off with a number that is, well, it's pretty wild. About 73% of the world's entire merchant fleet sails under what's known as a flag of convenience. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly 3 out of every 4 of those giant ships carrying our phones, our cars, our food, they're all registered in a country that often has zero real connection to the ship's owner or its crew. So that begs the question, right? Why would a Greek shipping tycoon register their entire fleet in, say, Panama? Or why would a Japanese corporation fly the flag of Liberia on its ships? Answering this question, well, it pulls back the curtain on how our global economy actually works. It's a fascinating story of money, rules, and a system built for maximum efficiency, but one that also comes with some really serious hidden risks. All right, so to crack this mystery, first we gotta understand what that flag on the back of a ship really means, because it's a whole lot more than just a piece of fabric blowing in the wind. Okay, so under international law, every single commercial ship has to have a nationality, kind of like a person has a passport. The country where it's registered is called its flag state, and this is absolutely crucial because that means the ship is legally required to follow that country's laws, everything from labor rules to safety standards, no matter where on Earth it happens to be sailing. So, if you're a ship owner, you basically have 2 doors you can walk through. Door number 1 is a closed registry. This is the traditional way, and it's got pretty strict rules. Think of the United States. To fly the American flag, your ship generally has to be owned by American companies and have American citizens as crew. But then, there's door number 2, the open registry, which, just like the name says, throws those doors wide open. And when a ship owner chooses that second door, an open registry in a foreign country, they're using what is very bluntly called a flag of convenience. I mean, the name kind of gives the whole game away, doesn't it? It is all about what is most convenient and most profitable for business. So what is it that makes these flags so incredibly attractive that they've come to dominate the entire shipping industry? Well, you've probably figured it out already. It really just boils down to 2 things: money and flexibility. All right, let's look at the actual incentives here, because they are massive. By registering your ship in a place like Panama or Liberia, you can slash your costs. We're talking about avoiding huge corporate taxes back home, being able to hire crews from anywhere in the world, often for much lower wages, and, navigating around some of the really expensive safety and environmental rules you'd face otherwise. And the result of all this is a world where the global fleet is concentrated under just a few flags. And get this, the top 3, Panama, Liberia, and the Marshall Islands. Together, they control over 46% of the world's entire shipping capacity by weight. That's just staggering. These 3 nations have effectively become the capitals of the high seas. And this right here perfectly illustrates the convenience part. The whole process is shockingly simple. If you want to register a gigantic container ship under the Panamanian flag, for example, it's pretty much a 3-step deal. Hand over your documents, pay the fees, and you can get a provisional registration in about 6 hours. That's less time than it takes to fly from New York to LA. But, and this is a huge but, all of this convenience comes at a price. There's a very well-documented and sometimes very dark side to this system. And for decades, critics have been sounding the alarm that it creates these dangerous loopholes in international law. As this quote from the former head of the International Transport Workers Federation points out, the big argument is that this lack of tough oversight creates a perfect storm for illegal activities. It can basically turn these ship registries into safe havens for anyone who wants to operate in the shadows. The absolute core of the problem comes down to accountability, or the lack of it. It can be almost impossible to figure out who really owns a ship when that owner is hidden behind layers and layers of anonymous shell companies that literally just exist on paper. This anonymity provides cover for the whole shebang, from exploiting crews with terrible working conditions to illegal fishing and smuggling. And this isn't just theoretical. When you look back at history, you start to see a really disturbing pattern. Some of the world's most infamous, most devastating environmental disasters involved ships that were flying flags of convenience. You have the Amoco Cadiz in '78, the Prestige in 2002, even the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in 2010. After every single one of these disasters, the same urgent questions came up. Who is actually responsible here? And who's supposed to be making sure these things are safe in the first place? So, if the flag state,
the country on the flag, isn't always watching as closely as it should, then who is? Does this just mean the oceans are the Wild West, a total free-for-all? Well, not exactly. There's another really important layer of enforcement we need to talk about.
See, it turns out that the country where a ship is trying to dock has its own power. It has the power to inspect that ship and enforce international rules, and it doesn't matter one bit what flag is flying from the mast.
This whole system is called port state control, and it acts like a global safety net. Think of it like a local sheriff. When a foreign ship sails into their town, their port, the local authorities have the right to board it, inspect it, and check that it's meeting international safety and environmental standards. And if it fails, they can lock it down and keep it right there in the harbor until it's fixed.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. These port state control groups actually rank the performance of the different flag states. They publish these white, gray, and black lists. It's basically a reputation system. If your flag is on the black list, guess what? Your ships are going to get inspected a lot more often. If you're on the white list, you're seen as lower risk. It creates this powerful peer pressure for flag states to actually enforce safety standards because no one wants to be on that blacklist. So all of this leads us to this central tension, the real tug-of-war that's happening in global shipping today. And just to be clear, this isn't a simple story of good guys versus bad guys. It's a really complex balancing act. Here's the core dilemma, right? On one hand, flags of convenience are a key reason why global trade is so efficient and affordable for all of us. But on the other side of that scale, they create these undeniable risks to the environment, to the safety of seafarers, and to global security. And that leaves us with this final massive question. The system of floating flags helped build the modern world we live in, no doubt about it. But its loopholes and its dark side are becoming just impossible to ignore. So is this just a necessary evil, a trade-off we have to accept for having a connected planet? Or is it a fundamental flaw in the system that's crying out for a better solution? The debate over who really polices the high seas? Well, it's far from over.